are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the College Loop Podcast, episode 178 of the College Loop Podcast. I'm Dylan Larck, on Twitter. I'm here joined by Mr. Harrison Tarr. Tarr, how you doing, buddy?
Well, Dylan, I'm great. I am because once again, the Auburn Tigers, for the first time since 2019, are sex tournament champions, are SEC champions. I had to throw that one up there. That's one of the funniest. It's just one of my favorite Auburn bits of all time. Bruce Pearl and company finally able to get something going in the SEC tournament for the first time, really, since 2019. And it was refreshing. And Bob Williams says, War Eagle, it's a damn good day to be an Auburn Tiger. I'm very, very happy for a number of those young men. That list beginning.
A men's basketball or women's basketball Auburn Tiger.
Yeah, correct. It's
That out there real quick.
That's a good way to put things. But namingly happy for Jalen Williams, for Chris Moore, for those young men, and for Bruce Pearl, an emotional guy after the game today, and really fighting back tears. Absolutely respect everything that Bruce has ever done. He's the guy. He's the dude, and really excited to see where this team's headed. The Tigers are hot, Dylan. And I'm really pumped. The draw is something we'll talk about after we kind of recap the championship game. Full disclosure, I got called into work for the second half for the last 16 minutes. So I've been told I have to watch. I have to not watch and have to work for the remainder of Auburn's run, because that's when the Tigers really caught fire and put their foot on the gas, and really took off. So that's where I'm at. I'm having a great day, though.
Yeah, and looking at, as Star just said, Auburn is the SEC tournament champion for 2024. My brother decided who was a Bama fan, decided he wanted to argue with me about it, because, like, what did y'all win last year? What did y'all do the year before that? And Bama fans trying not to bring up the pass challenge. Difficulty, very impossible. Did not appreciate me saying right afterwards, so what did y'all win this year? So, with that being said, Auburn took down the Florida Gators 86-67 in the SEC Tournament Championship, behind the likes of 3 Tigers scoring in double figures. You had a double-double, the 59th career double-double for Mr. Janai Broome, going 19 and 11. Then you had Chappie Mazzara put up 10. You had Denver Jones put up 11. And then you had 4 Tigers put up 7, but you also had Trey Donaldson off the bench put up 8. You had Katie Johnson put up 4. You had Jalen Williams put up 6, and then the 4 Tigers put up 7. Chaney Johnson, who had a very good defensive game, as well as putting up a solid 7 points. Dylan Cardwell, very good defensive game. I think he put up all 7 of his points within like 2 minutes of each other, and late in that second half. And then Aiden Holloway put up 7, and then cannot forget Chris Simo Moore putting up a very solid 7 and 6 with 2 assists and a steal. And just an absolute defensive menace whenever he's on the court. This is the best Chris Moore we have seen throughout his entirety of Auburn, and he is doing it at the exact right time when Auburn needed him most. He is there.
Chris Moore is the MVOP. I just invented that acronym. The most valuable overlooked player of this tournament. I mean, just getting the job done, doing more than what he's asked, but not trying to do too much. Chris stepped up and filled the void, or lack there. I guess that's not exactly the word, but stepped up into the role that Bruce and company really asked him to step into. And he was a real deal contributor over the past of the 2 games that Auburn had the privilege of competing in, or 3 games rather, 3 games I had the privilege of competing in. For whatever reason, South Carolina didn't happen to me. I also wasn't able to watch the game for personal reasons. But yeah, in my brain, that game doesn't count. But had a nice tournament. And if this is the Chris Moore we're going to see in March, guys, you're going to remember the name Chris Moore for a long time, not just because of his continued commitment to Bruce Pearl and to Auburn, but for his impact that he's having, not even necessarily on ball, but off ball impact that he had in March of 2024. And if that's the case, this could be really fun for Auburn. I was impressed by a number of guys. First and foremost, Janai Broome. I mean, I sound like a broken record. That's an NBA player, but Janai, specifically this afternoon against Florida, stepped up early and imposed his will and challenged all of Florida's bigs. And we are obviously absolutely wishing for the best for remind me of his last name.
It's Micah, but I don't think there's a way for me to potentially even pronounce
Micah Handelgoodton. What we were
Micah
saying,
H. Micah H.
Mike H. Our thoughts and prayers are with him and his family. Just so that is on record. We want to make sure everybody knows we are wishing absolute speedy recovery for him. Hopefully he's able to play basketball again in the near future.
Oh, yeah.
Talented kid, but to my point about Jani Broome, he stepped in and said, "Look, you're going to have to play. You're going to have to play physical on me, otherwise I'm going to go straight through your chest." And he did that against all of Florida's bigs throughout the duration of the game. He could take over a ball game. We've known this, but he really and in this week in Nashville specifically, Dylan, it's been less basketball, more of a business trip for Jani Broome, and it is apparent that he's bringing that mentality. You saw him in the chippiest rock fight I've ever seen against Mississippi State just a day ago. You saw him kind of not get in the face of Chad Baker-Mazara, but kind of get in front of CBM and say, "Hey, dude, compose yourself. We're better than them. Like we can win this game. We are absolutely on the right path. I need you to lock in." And it is clear that he and Jalen Williams have stepped up in a role this week specifically and said, "Guys, we're not here. We didn't come here just to play ball. We came here to win, and we don't want." I think Janai said it after today's championship game. We're not going to lose no more. We're done. That we are in one mode only, and it is win or no other option. That is, we have one choice. And I was very, very impressed by that. That's reflective by his play on the court. Not getting too high, not getting too low. Sometimes he could kind of get in a little bit in his own head, not a ton, but staying even keel and being the source of just let me pound the rock down low. And it is beautiful. Auburn's playing to the brand that works for them, and that opens up a world of opportunities. So that I thought that was my standout. If I had to name a standout of the game, obviously Janai with 19 is the given, but his mentality and his kind of just, people say, pack your own lunch kind of deal. Bring your lunch pail. Blue collar. We're here to just. I'm just gonna physical muscle my way through you and get to the rack and make you stop me because you can't. That is going to be tough for anybody to deal with. I don't care if we're talking Zach Edey. It's going to be tough for him to deal with.
Well, yeah, and something that stands out to me, Auburn's defense in this game, 10 blocks in this game. 3 of that's coming from Jani Broome. You had 2 from Jay Will. You had 4 from Dylan Cardwell.
One of them, which might have almost torn down the building.
Chaney Johnson's dunk, which should have been replayed way more than it should have, because that dunk was chef's kiss, beautiful, best block ever. LeBron James, sit down. Chaney Johnson is here to stay. Type blocks. And you look at 9 steals. You had 33 defensive rebounds according to Florida's 26, and a team in Florida who is known for their ability to make shots from behind the arc. Only shot 13 threes. Only made 1 of them. That is a percentage of 7.7% from the 3-point line that Auburn was able to shut down. Made Florida feel very uncomfortable from beyond the arc, and they found ways to score in the game. I mean, there were times where Florida made it very, very close. I think it got within 1, and then Auburn woke up and just turned it on offensively.
Went on a 7-0 run.
Exactly.
Steven, I see your comment. Good run in the SEC tournament, but they got a tough draw in the NCAA tournament. We'll talk about that in a minute. The word that you could describe what I'm going to do about that draw is going to rhyme with which. And I'm going to here in a second. But right now, this is about Auburn, and this is about their accomplishments on the court today. We will talk about the SEC tournament draw. Do not be led astray. That is certainly a topic.
We got some thoughts. We got some thoughts and opinions on that.
We've got some thoughts and opinions on that. But Dylan, from a holistic standpoint, you mentioned the shutting down Florida from 3, and also making Florida play at your pace. Oh my God, Florida wanted to go quick. They didn't want to get let Auburn get into its defensive set, which was clear. Which, I mean, shoot, who wants to let Auburn get into their defensive set if you're playing against them? The only way to be able to score efficiently against them is to get behind them. So that's credit to Bruce Pearl's defense and a team that's been defensively sharp all year. That was phenomenal. And as a whole, as a collective, something that really stood out to me, and we mentioned all the guys that were able to put up points. Everyone that plays routine minutes scored today. Everyone, you've got a couple guys with goose eggs down at at the lower end of the stat sheet, if you will. But those are your walk-ons that kind of got got a couple of minutes to sit there and enjoy the SEC championship. Congratulations. But everyone's plugging in. And that's what you need right now is you need your group locked in top to bottom, everybody knowing their role, everybody contributing. I thought Aiden Holloway did a great job today. Not trying to do too much, but found his way to get to the rack, get to the free throw line, and also not letting the moment get too big, not making a ton of errant mistakes. He looked like a freshman against Mississippi State. I mean, that was just a matter of fact. He just did not look great against Mississippi State, and he just let that game be in the past and lived in the present. And that is very mature and something you want to see out of a freshman, especially a young man who we all believe at this point is going to be at Auburn for at least another year. But growth over the span of 3 days is impressive, not just from Aiden Holloway, but you look around the board. The only player I don't think got necessarily better this week was KD Johnson. And I'm not trying to single out KD. There were just some moments where it felt like he loves a camera, he loves a spotlight, and he was trying to do a little bit too much. But he plugged in nicely today. And a lot of that is, I think, truthfully, this is me speaking in my, I guess, not hypothetical, theoretical. That's not the right theology, maybe, if you will. This is just me kind of feeling out the vibes, if you will. But your leaders, your Janai Brooms, your Jalen Williams on this team, stepping up and making sure everybody's on the same page and keeping everybody even keel. And Chad Baker-Mazara, for that matter, seems to be one of the only people that can get through to KD Johnson, which adds up.
It's like they get the same mentality at every given time.
You know how you and I say we swap out whoever has a brain cell?
Yeah, those two definitely do.
What'd you say?
Those two definitely do.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that they're unintelligent dudes. I just think that when they play basketball, I think it's just like we have one basketball brain cell and only one of us can have it at a time. You know what I mean? Like
only one of us can cuss out the other opposing team players at any given time. You can't both do it.
Yeah, no.
Only one tech per game. Come on, only one tech allowed.
Yep, only one. Not the 5 we saw against Mississippi State.
And Chad Baker-Mazara decided he wanted to call dibs on that one. Or against South Carolina, he called. I think there's only one tech. It was Chad Baker-Mazara. Or
against South Carolina?
Against Mississippi State yesterday, right?
2.
Was there 2?
Mm-hmm. One on each of them.
Okay. I only remember the one with the Chad that had the shared one, or was that?
No, KD wound up having offsetting, and it was just for him trash talking aggressively, which is just you take the good with the bad with KD Johnson.
You think Chad would teach him some Spanish, and he would start trash talking in another language just to let.
That's my favorite thing about
Chad Baker-Mazara.
He's like, I'm just gonna trash talk you in Spanish, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like
it is crazy how BP not only picks up transfer portal guys who are not just good but also extremely likable.
Yeah,
like Walker,
unless they don't play for your team.
Do what?
Oh, well, no, I was gonna say there are a couple that if they didn't play for your team, they'd be extremely unlikable. But
exactly. Like KD Johnson, Walker Kessler, Janai Broom, Chad Baker-Mazara, Chaney, and Denver Jones, all those transfer portal guys that you're like,
what a wide range of personalities.
Exactly. They're all so fun to watch. Especially Chad Baker-Mazara might end up being one of my favorite Auburn athletes I've ever watched.
He's got a pretty shot too. Oh my God, when was the last time you saw someone shoot some mid-range jumper like that? Like it's unbelievable. Well, today Trey Donaldson for no reason.
Chad's like sidestep 3. Whenever I see him take that step to the right, to the left, I know it's going in. There was one time where it didn't today, but against Mississippi State, he drained one. I was like, oh, this is game. Gross. That's game right there. That's game. I think I've not seen a personality like Chad who's played at that high of a level since Eugene Asante stepped out for football last year. That's just kind of the same like personalities, like vocal leaders. Whether or not you want to call Chad a vocal positive vocals, because I know he loves trash talk. There's been a couple of those videos that have been coming out. The lip reading for Chad has always been a fun one of sorts. But great game, great mentality from all the fans. And then not just an hour and 15 ago, the March Madness brackets have been released.
Yes,
Auburn, SEC tournament champion, 4 seed. Yeah, the fourth ranked 4 seed.
Yes. So, and that's out in Spokane in the East Regional, or in the East Region rather. Let me just go ahead and read through this quadrant that Auburn found itself in as a 4 seed. I'm just going to read through this real quick. I'll start with Auburn, then I'm going to work top to bottom so everybody kind of gets a visual image of what this field looks like. Actually, I'm going to just go top to bottom regardless. Dylan, that way makes more sense.
Yeah.
So your 1 seed is UConn. Your 16 seed is Stetson. They'll play in the first round. Florida, FAU, Northwestern. Your 8 and 9 seed first round matchup. San Diego State and UAB, the Blazers. Your 5-12 matchup in the East. Your 4-13 is your Auburn Tigers and the Yale Bulldogs. 6-11 is going to be BYU and Duquesne. Known Duquesne fan myself. One of my favorite cousins. I do play favorites. Alumnus of Duquesne. That's your 6-11 seed matchup. Your 3-14 seed is going to be Illinois Morehead State. Familiar territory for one, Janai Broom. Your 7-10 seed matchup is going to be Washington State Cougars, the Cougs versus Drake. I believe they're also the Bulldogs.
They are. Yeah, Drake Bulldogs.
And then at the bottom of your bracket, your 2-15 matchup is Iowa State and South Dakota State. So now that we've got a visual image, friends, I would like to read out something to all of you, so I can we can all be on the same page here about what this looks like. This is per Carter Bird at Carter Bird 13 on Twitter. So I'm giving credit where credit's due. They did this research, not I. I'm glad that this came across my thread because I didn't have to do this to save me the headache of having to go through this. And I'm glad that this started.
I'm going to pull up the bracket for everybody who's not seen it.
Yeah.
So to read.
Dylan has the bracket on the stream for visual reference. I want to hear y'all's feedback as I read this. Auburn's region has the following: Big East champion and defending national champion in UConn, Big 12 champion Iowa State, Big 10 champion Illinois, SEC tournament champion Auburn, Mountain West runner-up and last year's national runner-up San Diego State, American champ UAB, top 25 Brigham Young, 2023 Final Four team Florida Atlantic, the second best team in the Pac-12 and top 25 Washington State, the A-10 champion Duquesne, the MVC champ Drake, the OVC champ Morehead State, the Summit League champ South Dakota State, the ASUN champ Stetson, Northwestern, who has a standout roster. I think they're probably the weakest team in this division, to be completely transparent, outside of the last team, the Ivy League champ Yale. Okay, folks, let's call a spade a spade. I'm going to let you bring this. You want to bring that banner down for me real quick, Dylan?
Yeah,
I'm going to level with you. Auburn got screwed. This is unequivocally and I will not listen to arguments. I won't. This is the toughest quadrant in March Madness this year. It is that simple. This is the toughest region, and it is a grind every single year, no matter what quad you're in, no matter what region you're in, to get to the Final Four and get to the big dance. But Auburn's road's tough, and Dylan, I'm just going to say it. The committee screwed this one up bad, because what we learned, there are 2 higher seeded teams in the SEC than Auburn. That is the 3 seed Tennessee Volunteers earned. Rick Barnes and company earned. And then the Kentucky Wildcats. Can't use the word earned. There's another 4 seed out of the SEC. University of Alabama, who didn't get to play on the weekend in the SEC tournament. Mind you, neither did Tennessee nor Kentucky. Tennessee did what they needed to do in the regular season. There's no disputing that. Neither Kentucky nor Alabama got to play on Saturday or Sunday. They didn't get to hit Broadway on Friday night. I am beyond confused, and I think that a lot of you guys are who are listening, what the hell we're doing with the committee. I'm beyond confused. When you look around, and this is not just me pointing and saying, "Oh, well, Alabama has it so much easier," whatever. I'm not playing the big brother, little brother thing, because Alabama in this state and day and age is a little brother in basketball. That's a fact. But the rest of these regions don't add up. Your South Regional 1 seeded being Houston, which I think is the best team in the country, by the way. You look through. Yeah, they've got Duke, Texas Tech, and a sneaky NC State team that decided to win their tournament for no reason. Kentucky, Florida, sneaky team to make some noise, by the way. We just watched them, but they're going to play a whole lot better in the tournament. Marquette. Okay, so out of that group, my contenders are not long. My contending list is not long. You drop down to the Midwest Regional, Purdue, another premier team in the country, undisputed 1 seed. They've got Gonzaga, who is not Gonzaga of old. Kansas, who can make some noise for sure.
Say Kansas dealing with some injuries. I would not be. I think Sanford could do some damage there.
Creighton as a 3 seed. I misspoke a moment ago, by the way, folks. I'm sorry. Tennessee 2 seed. Creighton a 3 seed, which was not earned. Just calling a spade there, folks. Creighton, good team that can make a lot of noise in the tournament. Should not be a 3 seed over an Auburn that would be a 4 seed. And I'm just going to go ahead and just make that a clear statement. And Tennessee gets to play an old friend of ours in St. Peter's. And then you look down at the West Regional, which I think is just not good. Your 1 seed is North Carolina. Your 2 seed being Arizona. And then you have a staunch drop-off, in my opinion. I don't know how Baylor wound up being a 3 seed. They were unimpressive for a long duration of the year. And all we heard was, we took into consideration everything from November until now. I don't know that that's the case. And this is not just me sitting here whining about, Auburn's road to the Final Four is so difficult. Folks, Auburn, when they went to the Final Four in 2019, took down UNC, Kentucky, and Kansas. I'm not naive. I'm not naive to this. But if we're talking about actually leveling the playing field here and trying to disperse the talent and truly making this the perfectly balanced formula for the field of 64, you didn't do it. Oh, and just as a side note, maybe we should set an age cap on the committee because they clearly don't stay up long enough to watch Mountain West. Just saying. That's my 2 cents, Dylan.
I will say, and looking at Kentucky and Alabama's records, I mean, and I know the quad 1s, the quad 2s, and the quad 3s, and the quad 4 losses or whatever. Alabama had 11 losses this year, 21-11. Kentucky 23-9. And they could have answered back with SEC regular season champions. They didn't do that. That was Tennessee. Tennessee did that by far. And by far, I mean, they had 1 game on Auburn. And then Auburn 27-7. 7 losses for Auburn. That is 2 less than Kentucky. That is 4 less than Alabama. And Alabama's the same seed as Auburn, and Auburn is gonna have a ring to wear for next year. They're gonna have a nice little banner to put up. You know who doesn't? Kentucky, Alabama. It's baffling to me, and the memes are hilarious of the brand, picking brands to be higher seeds. I don't know why Kentucky got a 3 seed. I don't know why Alabama got a 4 seed. And in my expertise, I think the West. I don't get. It's like they picked the West and then just kind of dispersed everybody else. But here are the teams that need to be in it. All right, y'all got to pick everybody else. Because, I mean, of course, now not talking about the 1 seeds, but Iowa State, a deserving 2 seed. They're in the same division as UConn right now. You have Illinois, who also just won their conference title in the tournament. And then Auburn did theirs. And then I'm just going to keep going with all yours that you said. And then, of course, like we mentioned, there's 3 of the former 4 Final Four from last year. It makes no sense that they flat out just picked the East like they did. Sorry, correction, the East, not the West. It makes no sense. Because, honestly, if you're looking at what people should be watching, watch the East over any other, quad. Yeah. The East is going to have your most fun matchups. It's the most, I don't want to say it's the most balanced, because I feel like it's definitely got some lower end players, teams in this, but you're going to have a lot more upsets around the place, I will say, because I don't think James Madison being a 12 seed and Wisconsin being a 5 seed, I think that's grounds for an upset. Nebraska, A&M, I think it's going to be a fun one on those. The South and the East are the 2 best, by far. And then the West and the Midwest. What are we doing? All I can root for is St. Peter's.
Well, my biggest question, then we're going to roll into an ad break and then continue our conversation here about Auburn athletics. Please, by all means, for those of you guys hanging out with us here on the live stream, give us your thoughts, give us your feedback. We'll make sure we spotlight those and talk on touch on any talking points you guys want to bring up. That's what we're here for. That's why we do these live streams. But one last note, we learned something very, very important today. Conference tournaments, unless it is an automatic bid that you've earned, it does not matter. And you know what? we didn't just learn this, unfortunately. Texas A&M played victim to that a couple of years ago in the SEC tournament when they wound up losing to Tennessee and just kind of ran out of gas after having to play for so long. They'd done everything that they were asked to do, and were nixed and are certainly a deserving team. If the committee doesn't care about conference tournaments, why do we play them? If you're high enough in the net and you know that you're already locked into a field of 64 spot and there's no upward way you can move, what's stopping us from starting walk-ons? I'm only half joking. And Steven said UConn was the top one seed and got that. Yeah. I mean, and they were like they should, but that's my biggest thing. I don't get it. Like, why are we wasting our time? And we could just start the tournament a weekend earlier. If the conference tournaments do not mean anything to you, another team you could look at this year that was probably deserving and got left out, the USF Bulls. They were high enough in the net. I thought that they should have wound up in the mix.
I didn't realize they're not in that. Oh my God.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. It clearly does not matter. So let's just do away with them. I'm don't get me wrong, folks. Don't get this twisted to the point where I'm not thrilled for Bruce Pearl, not thrilled for the team, and proud that Auburn was able to bring home an SEC tournament championship. That's a big deal. That's a huge deal. But what you're telling me is that you can be a top 20 team in the net and then go and beat a couple teams or play the schedule in front of you. It's not your fault that the teams higher in the net lost or teams equal to you in the net lost. You didn't play them. You played the schedule in front of you. And I don't get it, man. That's where I'm at. I'll leave it there. If you have any other parting thoughts, we can roll into our quick ad read, and then we'll jump back into Auburn athletics. But that's where I'm at.
And speaking of brackets, Tar, you want to let them know what's coming up? Probably starting tomorrow, I presume.
Yeah, it'll be live tonight. I literally just reactivated right before we started my March Madness account. So we will have the March Madness. We'll start the ad reads here, and we'll roll through from there. The College Loop podcast March Madness Challenge is back. All right. And we have 2 free tickets to A-Day at stake. We also have, I said, 2 free rounds of golf at Robert Trent Jones. So you just have to play with yours truly. So we've got 2 free tickets to A-Day and 2 free rounds for you and a friend, or 1 round for you and 1 round for your friend. Let's not get greedy here, folks. But on the line for the winner of the College Loop podcast bracket challenge, that will be on, let's see, good luck fight. John Conley says, good luck for fighting for second place, boys. I got the perfect bracket loading. He's cooking, bro. He has the script. Make sure you download the March Madness Live app. That is the NCAA app. That will be the official app we will use for our bracket challenge. We had about 80 people in it last year. I want to have like 200 people in it this year. Let's make it crowded. If you beat me and Dylan, congratulations.
Yeah, the bar to the floor.
We're pretty bad at bracket picking. If you win the bracket, we will get in touch with you. We did last year, and then our winner decided that he needed to be in New York instead of being at A-Day, which was pretty lame. But like John
from last year,
John Conley clearly plans on winning this whole thing. He wants the 2 free tickets to A-Day and the 2 free rounds of golf for him and a friend at Robert Trent Jones Golf Course in Auburn. That's not a partnership deal unless RTJ wants to make it that, and I'm all the way down. Otherwise, I'm just going to be paying for 2 rounds, so that'll be fun. But 3 rounds, because I'm definitely playing. Make sure you're signed up. It is free to sign up. There's no charge. There's no entry fee. Just make sure you're in the group. We'll have that posted on all of our socials either tonight or tomorrow. I'll make sure that is up this evening. It will be done long before the game starts, I promise, because I'm going to make a zillion brackets like I always do.
I would say we're also going to be doing a women's bracket as well. And, since you're doing the RTJ thing, I'll chip in. I'll do 2 more tickets to the A-Day game for the winner of the women's bracket challenge.
Dylan's doubling down. Winners bracket challenge. So that's 4. A total of 4 A-Day tickets and 2 rounds at Robert Trent Jones in Auburn. So that's a hell of a deal. Make sure you guys sign up. And while you guys are on the interwebs, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell right here on the College Loop YouTube channel if you're watching on YouTube. Drop a comment, give us a thumbs up, share the show with a friend so we continue to grow the Looper family, if you will. We certainly appreciate it. It's the number 1 way to support the show. That is by hitting subscribe. Ring the bell so you can stay up to date with all the content we have coming out here at the College Loop Podcast. And we'll plug some more of our fun stuff that we've got on our own personal platforms here at the end of the show, as we always do. If you feel so inclined and want to support the show and be at ways beyond just hitting like, subscribe, and ringing the bell. Oh, backtrack, pause, rewind. If you're hanging out with us on a streaming platform, thank you guys for hanging out. Make sure you give us 5 stars, thumbs up, whatever the highest rating it is, and share that show with a friend. Post it on your Instagram story. Show people you're listening to the College Loop podcast. Share the brand. Hashtag ride for the brand. Now we're not going back to that ever again. I won't do that again. I digress.
College Loop country. Let's ride.
College Loop family. Let's loop. I don't know. Let's yeah. Anyways, I digress.
That joke is now made serious for Tarr because he is a Steelers fan.
Yeah, that's so true. So real. So if you guys want to support the show in ways beyond just hitting like, subscribe, or sharing the show, if you're listening on a streaming platform, hashtag thank you. You're the GOAT. Make sure to head over to thewarreport.com, pick up your very own College Loop podcast, War Report Podcast Network, co-branded Feel and Lippy t-shirt. Comes in 5 different colorways, $25. Most comfortable shirt you'll ever own. I wore mine watching Scotty Scheffler go back-to-back in the Players' Championship. My boy Scotty is him. He's him. That's my one little golf plug for the show until the end. But once you pick up your Feel and Lippy shirt, make sure you use hashtag Feel and Lippy. That is feeling without the G on your favorite social media platform to give us a selfie, tag us in it, and we will throw it up on the next show stream. Thank you guys for continual love and support. You guys are the reason we're able to do everything here at the College Loop podcast, like talking Auburn ball. Dylan, you're in the driver's seat. I'm running out of gas.
All right. Well, as everyone knows, there's 2 different brackets going on, men's and women's. The women's bracket is not out yet. It'll come out in about 28 minutes, but I do not know if we will be on air when that happens. But believe me, we will have a graphic for it, and we will talk about it during the next installment of the College Loop, which will be on Tuesday. So yeah, that one's coming out. Currently, bracketology speaking about Auburn, they are currently listed as an 11 seed in the NCAA tournament. And that Corvallis squad playing into Louisville in that first round. And we are completely on board with the fact that no matter how this tournament goes for the women's basketball team, it's a W.
It's a success. Also, Michael said, so what's the explanation on Auburn getting a worse seed than Bama? Back the show up about 8 minutes or so, maybe 7 minutes or so. We did complain about it, and I wish I could tell you. He also added in that Auburn got hosed. That's pretty. I said screwed. So that's the case. Dylan, back into women's basketball. My apologies. I want to make sure that everyone that's hanging out with us, we want to make sure that your voice is heard, that your concerns are listened to, and that we want you to know you're not alone. This is a safe space.
Yeah, Auburn and Coach Jay currently up. I think double-digit seeds probably where they're going to be at, but not playing in for their spot. A team that has definitely earned it. Coach Jay is her. Definitely one of the top 3 coaches on campus right now, and I don't think that's an argument.
Nope.
Because top 4.
Brent Crouch.
Forgot about Crouch.
Great man. Auburn's loaded in coaches right now. It's crazy.
They're so good all around. Especially you got Graba. You got hopefully eventually we'll be able to talk about Freeze and adding into that. But right now, Coach J and Co. currently looking at potentially being in that that first quad bracket in Albany. But if they can beat Louisville, I mean, you talking about? I'll have to go get my bug glasses and bring them everywhere. If Auburn were to winning one game in the tournament, I would go absolutely ballistic for. I cannot lie.
Yeah, I mean, let them cook. It's that simple.
But we will find out later today what seed the Auburn Tigers will be for the women's basketball bracket. And believe me, if we are not live when it happens, we will talk about it on Monday or Tuesday, the Tuesday episode in length, and we will give our thoughts and hopefully a better looking bracket than what we saw from the men's side of things.
If not, I might be put on a watch list for the committee. Committees plural.
Yeah, I will say I would appreciate it if Auburn was not in the same bracket as South Carolina.
Yeah, just don't make them do it again.
I will say I'm okay with Iowa. Not I think Auburn will win that game, but I think it'd be cool to watch Caitlin Clark get locked down by Scott Grayson. That'd be awesome to watch happen.
The Honesty Scott Grayson versus Caitlin Clark matchup would feed families.
I mean, you're talking about 2 lottery picks in the WNBA draft right there.
If Honesty actually received the respect that she deserves.
Yeah, of course. That bracket will come out in about 25 minutes. So if we're still live at that time, we'll try.
With our luck, Auburn will be announced in the last quadrant.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about. That's why I didn't even make the graphic for Auburn men's hoops seeding because I was like, oh, there's no way we're in that first quad, right? There's no way. Like I was fully expecting
Auburn was in that first quad.
Yeah, I was not expecting. I was not expecting Auburn to be named right away.
Michael just said, sorry for the rant. I am rewatching now. You're all good, man.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you for hanging out with us.
And then just to get to the rest of the sports, because we have two sports that are we're putting in the timeout corner for the time being. They're
just one.
Just one.
I'm not mad at baseball right now.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, a sweep. Not great.
I think Vanderbilt's really, really good.
True.
And it's early non-con, and we knew they were going to get knocked around. Not non-con, excuse me. Early conference play is what I meant to say. And we knew they were going to get knocked around a little bit in SEC play. Everyone's going to get knocked around a little bit in SEC play. I'm really not mad. And to be transparent, I've not been able to watch the box. For those of you guys who have been kind of wondering about my absence, Dylan's been holding it down. I lost my grandmother last week, and Dylan stepped up in a big way. So I have been out of the sphere. If I sound like I don't know what I'm talking about this week, know that I have tried to engulf myself as much as I can in Auburn today. But Dylan, shout out to you. But all things considered, in the baseball sphere, I'm really not that pressed. Like that one, I'm not pressed about. Softball, I'm just pissed. I'm pissed at one person in specific, actually.
But before we get into those, we're gonna have a nice little happy conversation about Auburn recruiting because they're having a great weekend, as we've been hearing already. Of course, Auburn football is still doing their spring practices, and they'll keep doing that until A-Day, of course. Which, if you're not bought tickets to A-Day, you can either try to win the bracket challenges and get 2 free ones, or go ahead and get your tickets. They're only $10 because the game will not be on TV. So if you want to watch A-Day and you want to be a psychopath with the rest of us and go to the game and watch A-Day in person, there you go.
You get to watch it with us unless Auburn makes the Final Four. And
yeah.
You'll be watching it alone. And I will be in Phoenix.
And, of course, all the good things we've been hearing about Auburn spring ball. It looks like Peyton Thorne and Holden Gerner are going to be the top 2 guys, which well aware of that. We knew that after the Maryland game. And, of course, Cam Coleman being the Cinderella story of spring ball. Yeah, exactly. Put on a heavy set of muscle and did not lose a single ounce of speed. And it's going to be so fun whenever Perry Thompson and Malcolm Simmons get on campus because such a legit. But class 2025 recruiting, Auburn picked up, after losing 2 defensive lineman commits, picked up an offensive lineman in Tavaris Dice. We talked about him a lot. He's been crystal balled to Auburn for a hot minute. Finally made his commitment to the Auburn Tigers. 6'4", 295-pound offensive tackle out of Langston Hughes High School in Fairburn, Georgia. Auburn currently at the number 7 spot in the class 2025. Fell back 1 after the loss of Antonio Coleman and words. Oh Lord, who was the other one? Doesn't matter. Decommitted. I remember if he recommits.
No longer relevant. Objection, Your Honor.
No longer relevant to my heavy Antonio Coleman. There we go. Antonio Coleman. Kalen Edwards. That's what I'm looking at.
That's right. He did decommit. I saw that.
Hopefully he recommits. We never know. But Auburn currently at number 7 spot in the country in the class 2025 because of the addition of Tavaris Dice. And the class is just looking better and better every single time. And, of course, if you look at the SEC rankings, Auburn currently holds number 3 spot. And that is behind LSU. Do what?
It's crazy how good this conference is.
Yeah. Number 7 spot is good for 3rd. And the teams Auburn is behind right now is LSU, currently has 3 5-stars, class 125. Number 2 is Oklahoma. Number 3, the Auburn Tigers. Number 4, the Georgia Bulldogs. 5, Tennessee. 6, Alabama. 7, Texas. And then not a lot of other heavy set recruiters that you're used to talking about later on. And because Florida might be losing a coach in the coming months. So, yeah. But huge recruiting weekend for the Auburn Tigers. Hopefully get some more commits to go alongside some happy news for Auburn football. And let's see. We got some questions on here.
Yeah, we've got a couple. I think Michael is rewatching. He said, where's our AD? Where's John Cohen? And he should be complaining to the SEC president now. Greg Sankey's never listened before. He won't listen now. I'm just going to be honest with you. Just going to be transparent.
Also, Greg Sankey's not on the board for that, I don't think.
Yeah, he was saying the SEC president in terms of I understand. I see the logic. I understand going and talking to the SEC commish is where my brain went. And like, hey, what the hell? I'm kind of on the same page.
Stephen Pearl is very mad, I will say. He was on the Next Round Live and talked about it.
Yeah.
He said everything we said, but he's on a higher platform than we are. So whenever he says it,
Peepaw said, if I'm Bruce Pearl, I boycott the SEC tournament next year. Like, while I understand that is not feasible in terms of like something one, Bruce would never do, and two, it's just not going to happen. I really don't disagree at all. Like, I don't like. I understand the message is what I'm saying here. Like, I think I said something similar. Like, there's just no point in playing the tournament right now. Like Michael said it right after that. Why even play the tourney? Like, there's none other than just revenue generating. And the NCAA put itself in a lockbox. Never seen that one before, have we?
I love that everyone is a complete unison that the NCAA sucks. I love that. Everyone agrees.
If you guys want to hear my rant on the NCAA, put it in the chat. Today's the day that I will open up on that. We got time, and I think we are going to have a guest appearance here in just a moment. After we circle back from Auburn Diamond Sports, just got a text from Mr. John Conley, who was live texting me the entire Auburn game. He's been hooked on his boy Denver Jones all year, and I respect it. Michael says he wants the NCAA rant. Maybe at the end of the show when we're putting a little filler in. I'm gonna let's cook on some Diamond Sports, guys. We will talk Auburn basketball. Let's get through the rundown. Bear with us real quick. Do want to make sure we give our other sports and our other athletes their flowers. That is at our core what we do. Obviously, big basketball guys. People have said I have a personal rant versus the NCAA too. Drop it in the chat, dude. Let's go ham right now. I'm down. I'm anti NCAA group right now. The NCAA hate support group is here. But Dylan, I'm gonna let you roll back in. I'm sorry, I know we got off the rails, but it's not all my fault. Good. The listeners wanted to talk about some other stuff. It's cool.
We'll start about we'll do the more positive side of Diamond Sports
before we get angry.
Before we get very angry,
and then stay angry.
Auburn Baseball took on the number 8 team in the country, the Vanderbilt Commodores, and got swept. One of the few teams, or one of 2 teams that did not win their games or meets in Nashville this weekend. But Vanderbilt, as Tarr already said, very, very good team. Of course, that's why they're ranked number 8 in the country. Auburn, I think, currently they're back half. I know that. I can't remember if it's 17 to like 20-ish, somewhere in that.
We're coming back to this.
Oh,
we're coming back to this. Star. You guys can't see this on our end, but we can star comments so we can flag them. We're coming back to this. Continue, Dylan.
Yeah, but Auburn just gave up 11 runs in that first game, 13 in the second, and third game played pretty tough. Had the lead and lost it.
At least they lost by like a funny number.
Yeah, it was a close matchup for the third game. And I guess as Tarr said, this is not something that we should be like mad about. Of course, if it happens against Arkansas next weekend and at Plainsman Park, then maybe eyebrows raised.
Look, Arkansas also a good club. We knew that the first 2 series were going to just be punches in the mouth, and we knew that. You can't get swept again.
You can't be losing 3 games and play.
No, you can't get swept again. But all I'm saying is that if you lose the next series 2-1, not the end of the world. If you win the next one 2-1, great. Keep composure, if that makes some sense. Like don't jump off the wagon yet, because the SEC is truly that loaded in baseball.
Correct. But yeah, something that we're definitely looking at, and of course we'll have a preview for Auburn's trip to Montgomery, Alabama, to play in beautiful Riverwalk Stadium, home of the Montgomery Biscuits, take on the South Alabama Jaguars on Tuesday. And other Diamond Sports,
I'm pretty excited about that game, by the way. Huh? I'm really excited about that game. I have a friend who plays for South Alabama, former Macon Bacon, actually. One Logan Wash. He's a 1-inning reliever, and I hope that Auburn. That's the only inning that they don't score. That's all. I'm not rooting against Auburn. I'm just rooting for my friend to have one good inning against like the 7, 8, and 9 hole hitter, and then lose by 30. I want South Alabama to lose by a zillion runs, but that'll be fun. I'm really looking forward to watching him lose to my favorite team.
Yeah,
is that like morally wrong?
I mean, I was hoping Bree Ellis would have like a good game. And then the rest of and she had a great weekend.
Yeah.
But I was hoping the rest of the Razorbacks wouldn't have a great weekend. But that's not what I was able to receive in return of asking for that. Because Auburn got swept. Or not swept. They got gentleman sweep against the Arkansas Razorbacks. Turned it around in game 3. You had a great version of Maddie Penta, who did get the record for all-time wins for the Auburn Tigers in her career. And that 2-1 win after getting a 2-run bomb. I'm trying to remember exactly who hit the bomb. I can't remember if it wasn't Amelia, I don't think. Oh, Lord. I don't think it was even a bomb. Might have been a double. There was a 2 RBI double.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it a buck. The first game I watched back from my abyss into the darkness was Friday.
Yeah, I'm going to get the bad thing is I watched this game. It was Nelia Peralta single. There was a 2 RBI single because Michaela Packer and KK McCrary got around. I think. Oh, no. KK McCrary, Rose Road. There we go. Okay, I'm caught up, even though I watched this game as a whole. But those first 2 games. Bree Ellis, former Auburn Tiger, Bree Ellis, stepped up to the plate in the first inning. The third batter of the game is... and she answers back by hitting a 3-run homer to absolutely start this game off on the wrong foot if you're an Auburn Tiger. This is the kind of series loss that you look at, and you look at the higher ups of the team, and you got some questions. You got a lot of questions because Arkansas is ranked, Auburn's ranked. Auburn probably not going to be ranked by the time another rankings come out because they were already on the verge after the gentleman's sweep versus Missouri. This is back-to-back series losses where you only got to win on Sunday, back-to-back. And of course, you can easily put it on the fact that Auburn is down. I think 7, 8, 9 games, whatever it is at this point. And maybe they're falling behind in the fact that they've not played enough games, but. You have probably some of the deepest pitchers in the country. You have a deep bullpen. This is no surprise.
Bree with an I, but yes. Friend of the program.
In front of the program, Bree Ellis. And I will say, if you follow Emily Ellis on Twitter, she had a lot of things to say about the head coach of the Auburn softball team.
Look,
it's not a good look. It's not a good look to lose back-to-back series like this, especially if you look at any final score graphic that softball posts that Auburn lost in, which there was 2 of those this weekend, and there was 2 of them last weekend, there was a theme going on. The fans are no longer behind Mickey Dean like they used to be 2 years ago. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that a lot of these girls that were huge contributors to the team, like Bree Ellis, like Denver Bryant, like Lindsey Garcia, who liked one of my tweets about Bree Ellis' revenge game, I must say. They're still watching. Jessie Blaine was kind of pushed out. You had all these girls who were contributors to a team that, going another year of development, this could have been an Auburn team that we could see in Oklahoma City. But they didn't mesh with the coach. Bree Ellis has been very outspoken about, the Ellis family as a whole has been very outspoken about their discontent with the Auburn coaching staff. And Mickey Dean tried to make pushes in the right direction by hiring some former, I can't remember her name, former Oklahoma player, or former Auburn player, Oklahoma coach. I can't remember her name, but she was a great hire because she meshes well with the players. But the head coach doesn't. And it's hard for me to look at later on the season because Auburn softball, the softball in the SEC is very good. If you're not aware, Auburn or the SEC, very good in all sports. You have A&M next weekend in College Station. You have Tennessee after that. Then you get into later on in the season, LSU, Kentucky, Ole Miss, Alabama, and of course mixed in UAB, Georgia Tech, La Tech, and Samford, and of course Troy in this. If you start 0-3 in conference play or 0-4, I don't think there's a chance that Mickey Dean is the head coach come the end of the season.
No.
The fan support is no longer there.
No, Mickey Dean will be here through the end of the season. No further. And I think that Auburn hit a plateau. And I think that here's a wild analogy. Let's see how much our listeners can make this comparison if this analogy works. Mickey Dean is to Auburn what Mike White was to Florida and basketball. Got you to a level you wanted to be at, couldn't get you further. Got you on the brink of a level that you thought you could be at and couldn't get over the hump. It's time to have that conversation. It is time. And if Auburn continues to struggle like this and waste away the final year of Matty Penta, you earned it. You earned it. You pushed out some of the best talent Auburn has seen. And whether you tried to retain him or not, it's really not my problem. And John Cohen's not going to think it's his problem either. He's going to make your problem become his problem because you are his problem now. Lots of problems here. Need some solutions. But I'm with you. I think Auburn's going to struggle through this season, and we've been saying this. That's not new. It's not the we've been cautiously optimistic that this team might be okay, but if they stumble throughout the rest of the season and they finish bottom 4 in the SEC, it's cooked. This is it.
Tarr, are you aware of where the SEC tournament is this year?
It's in Auburn, Alabama.
There's a good shot that Auburn is not playing in J&B Moore Field on the second day of the SEC tournament.
Right.
Very, very high shot.
Yep. There's a genuine concern of mine there. Now this team could put it all together. They could. There are pieces.
Talent is there.
There's young talent. I question leadership right now, and I don't usually publicly question leadership. Last time I did was Brian Harsin. That is a real deal truth. Even in the waning hours of Coach Flournoy for Auburn women's basketball, I did not publicly voice that I thought Auburn was going to move in another direction when we all knew they were. Yeah, Peepaw said, I see that. White and Dean are good coaches. However, you need constant progression. We've been at a plateau for a couple of years, and it seems to not be heading upward. As a matter of fact, it's heading the other direction now. Auburn is not a stranger to the College World Series. It is not a stranger to being on the national stage in the world of collegiate softball. Matter of fact, it is a brand that for a long time a lot of young girls dreamed of donning those uniforms. So if I am a donor, and I'm not, but if I was a donor to Auburn softball in specific, if I am a prospective athlete that wants to play at Auburn, I would question the trajectory that Auburn's headed in, because there needs to be everybody on the same page in a unanimous decision, whichever way that may be. And I think we all know or have an inclining which way that could go come the end of this season. I'm not in those meetings. I don't know. But if I had to make an educated guess, I think Mickey Dean is out after this year. And we were talking about this, and it's sad. We're talking about this in March.
In the second weekend of SEC play.
In the second weekend of SEC play. And I hate the fact that I don't think this is an overreaction. And I also want to put this out there, make it crystal clear. We mentioned Bree Ellis and her family, friends of the program. Not once have the Ellis family come to us personally and told us anything. That is where's my Bible? Put my hand on my Bible. That is the truth. This is all us observing things from outside looking in and hearing what we've heard from other people within that are not within the program, but are very invested in the program. And have knowledge beyond whatever we could claim to have. It's not that anyone sat here and told us this person did this, so this is happening. That's never been the case. That's never happened. I want to make sure that's crystal clear, black and white. We've had some gray areas in the past, and I'm not in that business of dealing with that bullshit anymore. I'm not doing it again. We did it one time, and it wound up being a quarterback mid. And I'm not going down that road. It was way more trouble than it was worth. This is speculation. And I have no foundation from within the program, but you watch sports long enough, and everyone who's listening to this has watched them long enough that when things aren't going well, there's one person you turn your head to first. And when things look like they're going in the complete different direction than they were headed beforehand, and it looks like more than just a regression, I mean, you can't change optics, Dylan. You can't change the fact that your best player last year in SEC, a generational talent at Auburn, walked away. You can't change that. And you had a handful of other X factors that walked away. you may have one or two that may leave a program. You don't have 3 or 4. Not when your roster is not that big, or 5. That's just wherever I'm at. That's where I am on that. Dylan, do you have any closing thoughts there? Can we circle back to a couple of other comments?
Yeah, we can circle back. Before we do, I want to go ahead and just throw out gymnastics. Coming in second at the Kidney Care Gymnastics Championship, only behind number 6 Kentucky. So another top 10 loss for the Auburn Tigers. Didn't have the best day of vault. They had a pretty close. I don't know if they ever had the lead, but they were pretty close with Kentucky all the way through. But then vault came around, and we all know the horror stories that come from Auburn gymnastics and the vault.
Yeah,
and that happened again, and they did have a season best on bars, but whenever you're down, whenever you only put up 49-1 on vault, it's kind of hard to come back from that unless a series of screw ups by the other teams. But nothing there. This team's still going to make some noise in SEC championship. Hopefully, they just suffer from always playing against the good teams, which happens when you're in the SEC.
That's also your reward for being great. Like,
I want to say I have the SEC. Every time I look at it, when Auburn loses a meet, I'm like, oh, who they play? Oh, number 6. Oh, number 4. Oh, number 3. Oh, number 8. Oh, cool. Right above, and number 13, like right above. And the one win I remember Auburn really getting was like against number 16, South Carolina, I think.
Yeah.
Like, Auburn's better than the team that they're ranked ahead of, but they struggle with the fact that the SEC is like top 14 of the country. And
stop us if you've heard this before, but the SEC is exceptionally talented in intercollegiate athletics.
It's just crazy to watch happen every single. But this is a team that has the talent. You're just really looking for people to stand out right away, and you have the talent to do so and to make some noise. Just for the love of everything that's holy, can we ban the vault? Can we ban it?
Not ban. Can we? It's like
Can we veto it? Can Auburn never produce just whenever Auburn's in the meet, don't do the vault.
Yeah, instead of dropping one score from every other rotation, can we just drop every score from the vault?
Can we just drop a rotation?
Right, just drop the rotation.
Because if you give Auburn just floor, bars, and beam, it's GG for anybody. It's a GG for anybody. Come on now.
They're cleaning house. They're cleaning house. You're so right. All right, let's jump into some of these comments here. I think that this is in correlation to my friend Logan Wash, actually friend of John Conley's as well, who just texted me that he's going to have to take a little rain check on hopping on the stream, although he would love to join all of us, and he's giving you guys all his regards. Shout out Conley, by the way, for stepping in and helping out Dylan a little bit too in my absence. That means a lot to me. So this is interesting here. So apparently the NCAA ruled PPOS ineligible because they were working a full-time job in their major after being a track athlete and paying their own way. How is that supposed to work to the NCAA? And then Michael chimed in and said he lost time because of the clearinghouse. So, I mean, here's the reality. I'm going to go on my small rant. This one really won't be that long. The reality of things. The NCAA sucks at its core. And I hope that this gets into the meetings in the rooms that it needs to. Please clip me, use me as whiteboard material when you get up in the morning and you just decide that you want to make money off kids and not do anything right. The NCAA at its core is an evil organization. It is. It is found in making money off of young athletes that up until a couple of years ago, they were hell-bent and determined should not be making money. My biggest beef with the NCAA has always been and always will be that I do not think they give a rat's ass about their athletes. And I don't have to think that. I know that. You know that. What we all know to be true is that the NCAA has never once made a decision or a ruling under their own will to benefit their athletes. And that is in any regard. When we don't have to look that far back. I'm going to throw out the NIL. That's not important right now. I will circle back to that. Look back to COVID-19 and the NCAA taking hellfire for the fact that some kids were going to opt out. Some kids have health issues. Some kids needed to be with family members who were affected by COVID-19. However you feel about the pandemic is neither here nor there. This is not me making this political. This is just being a realist here. we're going to play an abbreviated season. You guys are all going to play, or if you opt out, so be it. And then we'll just keep moving on like life never happened, as long as we still get our TV revenue money. Okay, great. So then we had to have conversations behind closed doors and say, hey, what the hell? What about the kids that need to preserve their eligibility? Granting a free year for COVID was the right thing to do. And it took borderline public shame for the NCAA to do it. You don't have to look back that far. But you can look through countless examples too. Let's not look at destroying. You don't have to look much further back than destroying. And this is an NIL conversation for sure. But a young man who was wildly successful on YouTube because he's a phenomenal athlete, and he just liked making YouTube videos of. I don't know if you guys have ever watched Destroying. He's wildly entertaining. He's a phenomenal talent, and he thought it was cool. People thought it was cool on YouTube. And then the NCAA decided that he was making money off of that. So you shouldn't be able to play ball anymore because your job is to be a student athlete, and you have a full scholarship, so you can take care of yourself. That's a load of horse shit. I'm just telling you right now. I know that we mentioned earlier, people said that they had a job paying their own way through school, and the NCAA decided that was ineligible. This is another one of countless examples, and I'm not saying that your story is not important. It is. Yeah, please hold your vendettas by all means, and hold them accountable, because they are ruthless SOBs and they are useless, in my opinion. Whenever you look back, it feels like there's never a feel-good story with the NCAA. There's not. There's never a feel-good. Oh, they got this one right without having to be
Reggie Bush.
Yeah, Reggie Bush is a shining example, but I also fault the Heisman Trophy as an entity as well, and think they're a bunch of scumbag assholes too. That's neither here nor there. When you've got a student athlete that is working a full-time job, or not full-time job, a part-time job while they're in school, I think it's a load of crap that if it matters whether or not someone said, yeah, you're on the football team, you can work here. If they're working a legitimate job, like this has been a problem pre-NIL. Now, post-NIL, almost anything goes, and I'm honestly one of the few people that does not mind that. I know I'm kind of alone in that camp, but I think if you can make money off yourself, make money off yourself. I really don't care how you do it, and do whatever's right for you and your family. But the amount of stories we've heard about young men and young women that are supporting themselves or supporting their families through hardship, how many of these kids made it out of situations that were less than ideal through their college scholarships? And that's great. But does that mean that their family back home is taken care of? It doesn't. And the NCAA has had this power trip where it's never been about, and it never will be about, oh, well, this is an unfair advantage because they got a job slinging lemonade at Toomer's Corner. They were just given this money so they could come to school at Auburn. No, it's never been about that. You've never cared about what's fair and what's not fair. You've cared about what's making you money. And I think at its core, it is sick and twisted that you can look at institutions and you can look at individuals that are recruiting within institutions and individuals who will compete for institutions and say, well, I know that you got this situation going on at home, but we really don't care because we're not understanding. We don't have to be because no one's ever told us we can't. And ultimately, whatever we say goes. That's my long roundabout way of saying, folks, the NCAA never has, nor will they ever care about their student athletes. The only reason we have NIL now is because they got bullied. And you know what? If we keep bullying on them, eventually we'll win. I'm now on an NCAA watch list somewhere, and I just want you to know that if I hurt your feelings and you're watching this and you're part of the NCAA entity and you're offended, good. Think about it. Think about yourself. Think about your moral compass and tell me, can you really sleep well at night? Because if you can, you're going to hell. Like, you're going to hell.
Tar, I don't know if you can hear it, but Lauren's currently in the background. She is dying of laughter at you.
I can't. And Michael mentioned NCAA stole Bo Jackson's last year at Auburn.
That not completely true. That was Tampa Bay's fault.
Tampa Bay, I fault Tampa Bay more than NCAA there. But there are a lot of situations. You mentioned Reggie Bush. Who's the young man at North Carolina just last year?
Oh, it was Tez Walker, not Tez Walker.
The receiver.
I could tell you if it was like their football season. I can't get Tez Walker out of my head. That's the only North Carolina receiver coming to my brain right now, but it's not Tez Walker.
Yeah. It's yeah. I cannot remember off the top of my head either.
But Michael the Tampa Bay Buccaneers never talked to the NCAA about getting that trip cleared because they didn't want him to play baseball anymore because they didn't want him to get swayed to play baseball in the pros. So they very scumbaggy about it. And that's why
all those years later to go get Cadillac.
Yeah, exactly. But then that's whenever they tried to draft him in the first round or the first pick of the draft. He was like,
it was Tez Walker.
Was it Tez Walker?
Yes.
I'm so intelligent, but I doubted myself.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
I'm the smartest person ever.
If you folks need an Auburn example, a real deal Auburn example, Sharif Cooper. I mean, Sharif Cooper is your textbook definition of the NCAA, and I'm going to sound like such a homer, Dylan. I'm going to sound like such a homer. The NCAA wanted to flaunt in Bruce Pearl's face that after he had self-reported a couple of things that maybe Auburn didn't do exactly by the rule book, and I get it, but they wanted to flaunt in Bruce Pearl's face that they could impose a ban on a kid and not really give you a reason. So Sharif Cooper, for those of you guys who are listening to this back or watching now and not familiar with the situation, was ruled ineligible at Auburn and unable to play for a large chunk of his freshman year, or his only year at Auburn, unfortunately, because, man, he was a special talent, dude. That guy was awesome. But was ruled ineligible because his dad was a sports agent. So clearly that's tampering. Guys, I don't know that it's necessarily, I don't know what your opinions are. My opinion is that, the NCAA should not be able to, no one should be able to tell me whether or not I'm eligible to play because my dad has a job. That my dad's successful. My dad owns his own firm, works for a very successful firm, and just happens to be in the sphere of sports. Yeah. Was his dad always going to be his agent? Yes. Hell, duh, obviously. But he was consulting with an agent. Yeah, I'm sorry he talked to his dad about his collegiate decision. And I'm sorry that his dad worked in this sphere where he actually probably had a profound knowledge of, hey, this is going to be the route that can help you market yourself. I'm sorry that we have young athletes that are being mentored by their parents. I'm really, truly sorry that hurts your feelings, NCAA. It's stuff like that grinds my gears, Dylan. And I'm done. I really am.
I don't know if there's even a shot that me and my dad had a very long conversation with the NCAA because I don't think there's very many people in the world who are very pro the NCAA. And if you see me looking over, I'm trying. The women are getting announced for their seating, so I'm trying to see if Auburn gets announced so we can break that live.
We're also not just riffing; we're actually hating right now. So
yeah, this is like legitimate hate. Like there are very few entities in the world that I hate more than the NCAA. I made a prediction to my dad. I do not think that the NCAA will be the policing body of college sports in 5 years. I think at some point you have to let the conferences do it because the SEC, Greg Sankey holds more power than the chairman of the NCAA does.
Correct.
Because no matter who anybody in the SEC does, the SEC reigns supreme. There's a reason why whenever they were talking about the powers that be and they were talking about the adding 2 more teams to the playoffs, which I have a whole other opinion about that because holy crap, at least the C of 12 works before we go to 14. Which we've not really talked about that on the show at all for that. But it makes no sense to me that the NCAA can police the SEC, but the SEC can get away with so much stuff. I mean, we just saw the NCAA try to sue or try to get Tennessee in trouble for the Nico Iamaleava recruiting stuff. Well, guess what? They were policing them on rules that aren't written. Yeah. They aren't signed off on. These are not. They was like, oh well, they broke the rules that we want to put in place. Well, you didn't put them in place. They're not there. And so whenever Tennessee wins, guess what? You just told the entire country. Well, guess what? We can do that too. We can do it. We can do what Tennessee just did because they got away with it. I'm not gonna say got away with it. There's not a rule for it. So you can't get someone in trouble. It's like it's like trying to get a kid in trouble without giving them a warning in school.
This right here.
13 plus Notre Dame. What?
Adding 2 more teams to the playoffs, the 13 plus Notre Dame rule.
Oh, yes. I completely agree. Which all be solved if they would just join a conference, but they won't because NBC they're the only team with their own
And
broadcasting deal.
let's also not forget, this is the funniest thing to me, and it bolsters your point that the NCAA probably will not be policing the intercollegiate athletics for a whole lot longer. Their biggest revenue generating sport is quite literally decided by a private entity. The College Football Playoff Committee is not in correlation with NCAA. The actual NCAA champion is your FCS champion. That is the funniest shit to me. Like, you guys you lost this one a long time ago. A long time ago. And now we have an entity that is growing and making more money than you do. All because they get to pick 4 teams and get them wrong half the time. And now they get to do it with 12. It's amazing. It's the best.
I really would never understand why they were just, let's just raise it 12 more, two more teams. You know what? What's stopping us from just going straight to 64 football teams?
The entire season's a playoff in a consolation bracket.
Yes.
A playoff in a series of consolation brackets.
I mean, that's what we're going towards anyways.
Yeah.
It's just whoever wants to play the SEC in the playoffs is who gets to play the SEC in the playoffs. That is strictly how this goes.
All of this to say,
of course, you said earlier that Auburn might be the last team picked.
I might have been right.
You might have been right. They're taking a while.
Yeah. All this to say, the NCAA sucks. And I hope my NCAA rant was not a letdown to you guys. I get really passionate about this because I am, just to be transparent with you all, if anybody has any connects and wants to put me in contact with anyone, I'd love to. I'm very interested in working in the NIL sphere. I think it's long overdue. I wrote a column when I was 19 years old for the Auburn Plainsman about why student athletes should be able to make money off their name, image, and likeness, and caught a lot of flack for it. And I've always thought that this is just a bogus system at its core. And then the older I get, and the more stories I hear, and the more people I speak to that are student athletes at all levels. Mind you guys, I work at a Division III school, which obviously I can't disclose conversations I've had with student athletes, but I've had some really impactful conversations with Division III athletes and the way the NCAA rules them as well, which is just kind of wild. I'm not talking down on the NCAA as not the NCAA, the division system. Like, I get it, and I understand why we do that. But I am talking down on the governing body over all intercollegiate athletics because I don't think they care about their kids. And I also low-key think it's just a money fronting scheme. That's just
the NCAA has always been money first rather than anything else.
It has been. It appears as though we are going to be SOL on the announcing Auburn women's basketball live. So I'm going to go and start the wrap up. If we get it while it's happening, Dylan, it's fine. And if you guys have any other questions, please let us know. We'll try to address those. Now's your time. Speak now, forever hold your peace. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for tuning in to the College Loop live stream. If you've not already, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell right here on the College Loop YouTube channel. Hit, I already said subscribe, sorry. Share the channel with a friend so we can continue to grow the College Loop family. You guys are the best listeners in the world, and we sincerely appreciate y'all. Hope you know that it means the world to us, how much you guys pour out support and continue to tune into these streams, listen to our shows, drop comments. It means everything, and it's a ton of fun. Sorry, I had to keep rolling through. That was funny. And Sylvia almost had a stroke when we used defensive linemen in our pit crew. Love it. So if you feel so inclined, if you're listening on a streaming platform, thanks for hanging out with us. Thank you guys for making it all the way to the end of the show. Give us 5 stars, thumbs up, whatever the highest rating is on your streaming platform of choice. Share the show with a friend so we can grow the family. The numbers matter. The analytics matter, so we can continue to grow. I promise it's not just me trying to grab as much clout as possible. We're trying to grow this so we can do more cool stuff with you guys. Make sure you're registered and ready for the College Loop Bracket Challenge. That is a total of 4 8-day tickets for men's and women's, 2 for men's, 2 for women's, and 2 free rounds at Robert Trent Jones Golf Course in Auburn, Alabama. And if you guys want to continue to support the show, head over to thewarreport.com. Pick up your very own College Loop Podcast, War Report Podcast Network, co-branded Feeling Lippy t-shirt. Comes in 5 different colorways, $25. Most comfortable shirt you'll ever own. It is awesome. Before I give you guys my wrap up, I want to tell every one of you guys, for those of you guys who reached out to me in the past week, thank you so much. I appreciate you checking in. Dylan, thank you so much for holding it down. I appreciate you being the great human you are. Did we just get announced?
No, but they just announced Louisville into the Baton Rouge, and Auburn will not be playing Louisville. They're playing Louisville will be playing Middle Tennessee State.
Ah, very good.
They're currently doing this. They're in the second bracket of it. So I'm just in there just like, they just decided to talk about it for like 5 minutes at a time because they talk about LSU getting it for like 15 minutes.
That adds
so
up.
It was like big shocker there that LSU made it.
Anywho, Dylan, thank you for holding it down. A special thank you to John Conley for holding it down. You guys are the best. Thank you guys for being a great support system throughout the week. Sorry, I've been out into the darkness for all of you guys listening. I promise I'm back to stay. I'm locked in. And thankfully, all this is behind us. And thank you guys for your continual thoughts and prayers. I'm Harrison Tarr at by Harrison Tarr on the Bird app and on Instagram. If you guys want to come hang out with me, give me your good takes, your bad takes, and everything in between. Got some really, really cool stuff. Launching a brand new golf YouTube channel with a couple of my friends here in the next actually, this is going to be launching on Masters weekend, right before Masters weekend. So you guys have some golf content to check out before then. Also, I make golf content on TikTok at tar_15. That's one golf coming soon. I'll give you guys more updates on that as soon as we get all that launched. Dylan, let's get out of here. And as soon as we hit end show, we will get announced for Auburn's placement.
Yeah, because that's usually how it goes. But of course, I'm looking at y'all, but I'm looking over here too. I can't really look both ways.
I'd like to see you try.
But of course, I'm Dylan Larck. I will take on Twitter, also on Instagram as well at Dylan Larck and DYLNLRCK. Taking a little bit longer to get my content schedule made up. I have a list of things I want to make videos about. But of course, TikTok might be dying soon. So I don't know if I can even talk about TikTok anymore.
Instagram Reels, bro.
Instagram Reels, yay.
The way of the future.
I retired off Instagram for 7 years from my other account. And then I was like, oh, well, you got to go back. Cool. But of course, if you look for me anywhere else, you see me right here in the College Loop. Which is, if you were looking for anywhere else, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, the works, all of those at the College Loop. Also, if you're tired of seeing our faces, completely understandable. Have us on the audio versions of the show as well on Spotify podcasts, Google Podcasts, and of course, Amazon Music. And of course, all that being said, they're taking a break from announcing the regions because now there's 2 more brackets left for Auburn to announce. So I already know that Auburn is going to be the last regional picked. So with all that being said, follow the socials, and because you'll get a live graphic going up as soon as Auburn is announced. But of course, all that being said, this has been the College Loop Podcast. Thank you, and of course, War Eagle.
Love you guys.